there changing my voice. Let's talk about heterosexual love, and let's talk about the normal response to the terrorism coming from the governing class and the government officials and law enforcement and the intelligence community. They're terrified as well. They are terrorized. Now me, I'm not terrified, right? But they're attempting to terrorize me. And it's caused me a lot of stress as I try to explain it. So let's first start with love so you can understand who I am and where I'm coming from. I come from a long line of people who love very deeply. And as the males pour out their heart on the women start reciprocating that love. And it's in my genes to have the deepest love, to convey the deepest love, and to be loved back with like the deepest love that a woman can love somebody with. And so when they caused females to shun me, they knew it was going to cause a lot of stress, to the point where the title of the movie Romeo Must Die is actually made about screening out me first and foremost, and anyone else like me. It's like them saying, hey, we have a live one, or we have a Romeo, or what have you. Okay. I didn't explain it as well as I would it in person with, my hand gestures, with the spirit in the air, what have you, but you should understand that I'm right. Now, when it comes to white supremacy and the woke straw man, right? They put all these guys out there who are, transgender, some of them do shootings or whatever, and they say, hey, these guys are crazy. And they superimpose that on honest left-wing arguments, right? Individual rights, a fair economic system, romantic justice, right? Because we see that what's going on affects dating, and it's really ruined dating. And a lot of people are single and miserable. And so on and so forth. Just logical, what is right arguments, freedom, what have you. And then you have these white supremacists who are oppressing you. Regardless of what race you are, they're oppressing you. And they keep pointing to that straw man. Whether or not they use a straw man or not, in a sense, is irrelevant. It matters because it helps you understand what's going on and what to do about it. But in terms of them trying to terrorize people, controlled opposition is not very helpful. And so the response that not only is logical, but has been illustrated time and time in the movies, with the movies where slaves revolt, in A Time to Kill, okay, where people who are, some of them depicted as gang members, are fighting with Klansmen alongside police officers, that one white lawyer, what have you, and people of various groups fighting with the Klan over them oppressing people and insisting on things and terrorizing people and trying to force their culture on people. If the neo-Nazis were to say, hey, we know how you feel, now come into our culture and we'll help you take on the Klan, the smart person says no. And so it is with the spectrum of white supremacy in every other culture, because my culture is the same as my religion and philosophy, which is universal, pinpoint, and moral precision. It isn't playing the game. A demon is said to be a skilled performer who obviously plays the devil's game. If you type in the devil's game, you'll get all kinds of hits, in terms of you type it into Google, you do a search. There's books written about it. There's various ideas about it. If you look up dark psychology, shadow psychology, shadow people, darkness, evil, you'll see that these connections are sound. So the logical person rejects being a slave to sin, like it says in the Bible. All who sin are a slave to sin. And the one who does what is right is righteous. The logical person knows the right way to live one's life is to be righteous. And therefore they become Mr. Right, on the right path, doing the right thing, in the right mind, what have you. Has the right idea. So you've got to see that the psychological operation is designed to get the sane person to do what the sane person would do and to stigmatize him for doing it. The sane person goes beyond give me liberty or give me death He tries to pinpoint it so you understand as they blur the line between what liberty is and what justice is, what liberty is and what true freedom is. They play a semantics game. They say things like it doesn't work that way. No. Telling the righteous person to play the devil's game and expecting him to do it is not going to work, because that's not how God works. That's not how the righteous work. We do not follow oppressors. We do not follow evil. I follow God alone, and I am God's son as proven through universal pinpointed moral precision, which is better than any scripture. Why do you think Christ as a character in the story summed up the law and the prophets? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you were God, would you want people to love you with all your heart and to complete the test? Yes. And to love God with all your heart and all your soul and all your being. If the Bible can be summed up successfully, you can pinpoint what it's getting at, then universal pinpoint and moral precision is the true message of the Bible. So therefore, when we see this if-then statement, we know that the Bible was summed up by the main character in the Bible, which is Christ. Right? It goes God and then Christ. And so therefore, the Bible can be summed up. And so therefore, the main message of the Bible is universal pinpointed moral precision. The key word there is universal. That's why in Luke 12:57 it says, why don't you judge for yourselves what is right? And one of my favorite scriptures, Isaiah 28:17, says, make righteousness and justice the boundaries, the measuring line, the plume line, what have you. So what is right? What is just? The Lord is known by his acts of justice. He's exalted by his acts of justice. Now, how would people who don't know God know what justice is unless it's universal? How would they know what righteousness is unless it's universal? So then when they see God, they say that must be a righteous God, because they have a preconceived belief in regards to what righteousness is. Therefore, the righteousness in the Bible is universal. Okay, so now let's look at Proverbs 26, verse 7 and verse 8, and let's talk about the skywalker. To walk with God is to walk with God in the heavens, right? The kingdom of heaven is upon you when the righteous are upon you, when the gate is upon you. I am the gate. Therefore, to traverse, to walk with God, to traverse from the earthly realm to the heavenly realm, is to skywalk, is to have wings like an angel, to fly. So we see in Proverbs 26, verse 6, it says, sending a message by the hands of a fool is like cutting off one's feet or drinking poison. The next verse, like the useless legs of one who is lame, is a proverb in the mouth of a fool. So who understands Proverbs, which is a book that's made to understand the other books in the Bible? It's somebody who has spiritual feet, right? Figurative feet. They traverse. They travel spiritually. They go up to heaven and come back down. Proverbs 34. And so the next verse, verse number 8. Like tying a stone in a sling is the giving of honor to a fool. Now, what does this mean? Well, David took on Goliath with a sling. And Christ is the root and offspring of David. So, like removing the champion of God. Psalm 19, where it says the bridegroom, the son is the symbol of the bridegroom, who's a champion, who's the champion of God. And Psalm 18, the psalm before Psalm 19, says that the Lord trains the king's hands for battle. So if you remove me from the situation and my arguments from the situation, it's like tying a stone in a sling. You don't defeat Goliath. You don't defeat Dagon. You don't defeat the demons in the story. Chemosh, Dagon, Asherah, Baal, Nebo, Molech, Rephan. what have you. And if you don't do that, then the people you're giving honor to are mere fools. And you are fools following fools, the blind following the blind, those who cannot skywalk, those who are blind and lame, who won't enter the kingdom of heaven, 2 Samuel 5. Those are the ones you're following. So you got the wrong message from the wrong person, and you're lame, and you're drinking spiritual poison instead of the water of God, the water of life. So we can therefore add to verse 8 here, like tying a stone in a sling is the giving of honor to a fool, and removing the top martial arts ever possible from the chain of command is like tying a stone in a sling. And following the false messages that comes from fools that make you blind and lame and cause you to be trapped in the snare and to fall into the pit is to dig a pit for yourself and to fall in it.